Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's scary that it can be put into anything, and we can't even see it or notice it.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Hey there, Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpond here. Hopefully you're having a good day as we are watching conditions that are going to be, I think, a little bit more spotty as far as rainfall is concerned over the course of the next few days here. We're broadcasting live from the home studio, so there might be a few things a little different. We're testing this one out to see exactly how it works. I noticed there are a couple of these gray frames from time to time. One of the things we're trying to work out here as we look at your forecast on this weekend evening. So a couple of things we're looking ahead for. I think we're going to have a few overnight thunderstorms this evening and tonight. Not expecting to have a lot of those, but a possibility that we do have some. We expect that rain will remain somewhat spotty in the next few days, kind of like today, where for a change, finally, it's more mist than hit. And I think that's largely the story through probably Tuesday of next week as a ridge of high pressure kind of building overhead kind of trends our way toward a drier forecast. And then, of course, heat building into the week as well, because, of course, if we're going to trade one, we got to trade it out for the other. And that's just kind of the way it sometimes works. Outside round now in Amory, we're 86 degrees as of this hour. South wind there, about 15 miles per hour, the latest update. The clouds aside us some showers that we're tracking here in just a couple moments for you with Mississippi Live Weather Radar. And outside in Rolling Fork, looking some of those showers and storms on the horizon of across the Mississippi River. It's 91, though it feels like 102. That's fairly rough out there this evening as we have, of course, those showers and thunderstorms trying to pop up on the other side of the Mississippi River. We'll look at that in a moment here, but as we look at your next 12 to begin here, rain coverage we're saying at right around 20% or so, still at 7 p.m. to maybe 10 p.m. or so, and that could be overdoing it. We could also be underdoing some of the rain chances overnight. I think we'll still have a few of those linger, especially near the Tennessee state line. We'll look at that with your future cast here in just a couple of minutes. But as we look at the latest here on Mississippi Live Weather Radar, and really we kind of look at the surface analysis on this, a couple things you'll note. High pressure is the story. It has kind of built its way westward. It's part of the reason why we have some of the rainfall that, of course, we do have out there across the region, as well as because that has, largely stayed to the east. Well, now with it building in, that could potentially get us in a pattern that dries us out a little bit. And you can also kind of just sort of see, just generally speaking, the overall movement of all of this moisture. All this is just generally because of the impact of this big high pressure center we have. So as it shifts a little bit, that's what will turn the heat up. But I don't think we completely turn the rainfall off once again, and certainly not talking about our next front getting anywhere near to our area. As we bring it in closer and we look here at the latest on Mississippi Live Weather Radar, a couple things we're going to look at here. We're looking at Amory a moment ago. We'll bring this into the latest scans on a radar perspective here. We're going to make this instead a 1 hour loop here. So one thing you'll note, again, this is kind of from our earlier thunderstorms, kind of a flare up here around the Golden Triangle a little bit ago, closer to Caledonia, Vernon. Got to go a few more hours back. That's kicked out this little bit of rain-cooled air there, giving us a little dividing line there between the way those temperatures are lining up. In fact, good example of that. I'm going to change this over, actually look at some of those temperatures for just a second, because it is a noteworthy difference there. As you can see, giving it to now at the current time, it's not as big a difference as what earlier, but we do have those lower 80s there around Vernon back toward Millport, and then you go more mid 90s eastward with some spots into the 80s, but certainly cooler, somewhat rain cooled for some of those locations at this time. Hey to all y'all in Tupelo, Duck Hill, Saltillo. Of course, one of the nice things about the home studio here is I have a better better eyeball on that chat and everything that y'all want to share along with us. As we clear this off, go back over here to Mississippi Live Weather Radar. A couple little showers, not a lot of activity out there, thankfully, this afternoon. One pretty much right over top of the radar site, actually, two here that we're looking at. Putting this back into motion, making this a 1 hour loop near Westville down here in Monroe County. Again, just a couple of these showers kind of lifting back toward the north and east there, closer to Gapman and Quincy at this moment. Looking northward along this, we've had a couple little showers. This outflow boundary here, again, with that rain cool there, popping up a couple of those, trying to move a little bit east off of that, but just not nearly the impact that we have had recently out of some of those. But one location where we are watching some of that is out here toward Sledge and Dundee, and locations closer to the Mississippi River around Tunica as well. A shot of what this kind of looks like in person there. We have our Mississippi Department of Transportation cameras out there. We'll probably have to show those a little bit later on. Give me a moment here. I'm going to see if I can fake my way into this for just a second. So it's going to kind of jump on the wider shot here, but this will let me go over and show you that camera I was trying to show you a moment ago. And it's really a combination of cameras that we have out there. So a lot of rainfall under that, wet roadways, dark clouds. Looks like it's knocked that reporting station there off as far as the temperature is concerned, though you can see those west winds kicking up there associated with that. Okay, back here to Mississippi Live Weather Radar, kind of on the wider shot here. And as we kind of bring it in for a moment, again, tracking some of those east, they're only moving around 20 miles per hour at this time. So putting this into play mode here, it's going to take me all wide again. Still learning some of how some of these things are going to work on this, and we'll kind of look at some of those farther south. And we'll bring it to the current time. And now we're going to make it a 1 hour loop there. And so tracking those, again, in the northwest portion of the state, about 20 miles per hour or so. So we have those, generally speaking, I mean, again, they're not fast movers, so I'm going to have to actually extend this out a little farther. So give me just it might not let me do that. We'll do that with our in-depth tracking here in a couple minutes, but you can see they're getting closer to, again, Jonestown. We show it about 613 there, North Tunica about 612. It's pretty much over top of Tunica at 611 there, and eventually closer to around Evansville at 633, Pritchard there at 630 or so. Okay, so let's go ahead and look on kind of the wider shot here for a moment as we kind of advance things on how Futurecast kind of handles these into this evening. Again, most of us largely in the dry category here over the next couple of hours, especially down here south of the Golden Triangle. There are some showers that we've been watching closer to Jackson. Those could potentially clip you down around Macon or perhaps Louisville, more up to the north. And this largely has that batch moving out of Arkansas dying out. Front is once again stalled out back to the north and west. Not a lot. We're not, at least not part of your Sunday. A greater likelihood afternoon tomorrow. We'll have some chances. We'll say that will go coming up here in just a couple minutes. Weather.
You need some help?
Your tow chains are a little loose. Could spark a wildfire. I could show you how to secure them properly if you'd like.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Anytime. You should check out SmokeyBear.com. They've got a bunch of tips on wildfire prevention.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Dijimos que nunca romperíamos la regla de los 3 segundos. Nunca haríamos esto. Y nunca nos convertiríamos en una mamá con minivan. Como padres decimos nunca sobre muchas cosas, pero los nunca a veces suceden. Así que, aunque digas que nunca dejarías a tu hijo en un auto caliente, es algo que puede suceder. Antes de alejarte del auto, siempre para. Mira, cierra.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lobheim.
Well, I don't think I could move past showing this picture from Colburn last night. I mean, when I saw it come in on Facebook, I'm very impressed by what we saw here. Great shot sent in from Home Depot in the Tupelo area this evening. As you can see, just a kind of mix of clouds out there. As actually, that was last evening there. By the way, I appreciate my friends saying, hey, it's glitching a little bit. Even Emily in the other room said that. So we're going to figure out what the deal is with that. Largely, it's done a pretty good job at this point. For whatever reason today, it's not very happy. So we'll get that figured out for you as we move forward. But again, whether I glitch or not, that's going to hold. And it's pretty nice, doesn't it, out there? So I appreciate Colburn for sharing that picture with us. As I kind of advance things here, get this onto the right screen for a moment. You can see Tanya in Guntown, little heart picture there showing up in the clouds. This is more responsive to the clouds we've had with just not as much vertical development today. Appreciate Tanya for sharing this picture. You can, of course, share your pictures with us using the Mississippi Live Weather app. Free and available for all those different devices. One of the cool things, it does geocode those pictures. Still working to get the best possible way to end up getting a good look at one of the things I think is kind of cool, the exact locations and how that works, but trying to work to get the best way to get those back on the screen as quickly as we can. During active weather, I think we're still going to kind of take a little time before we get that figured out. So here is that hour-by-hour forecast. From 7 a.m., we're looking at 75 degrees on your Sunday, 90 by noon, 92 by afternoon. Again, rain chances there remaining fairly spotty. I think we'll be probably up around 30% on that coverage as we go into the evening as well. Hold on a second. Someone read this and let him know. It's echoing. Leonard, is it echoing? They're not paying attention now? I think I know what the problem is. Hold on. Can you hear me now? I don't think it's been echoing the whole if it was echoing the whole time, let me know. There we go. I think we've got that under control. Okay, someone else saying that. So are we good on the echo? Good on the echo? Okay, yes. Okay, let's move on. Again, working through some tricky things here, but I think we've got this worked out. Yeah, and I appreciate your patience as we do this, because one of the reasons I'm working on the home studio, again, it'll probably be a few more days before we release this. We do have a morning meteorologist. We'll be starting a morning show component to this. It's probably going to be the latter part of this month before that happens. And a lot of what I'm working on here on the home studio is related to that. Leonard, hold on. Oh, I know what it is. I clicked the wrong one. Hold on. Now let's try that. I think that might have fixed it. Let's see here. Check, check, check. Are we good? I'll see if that works. That should have fixed it. Are we good, Leonard? Okay. Well, I'll advance past that then. I think, okay, the echo is gone now. That's what I was, no, someone just said the echo is gone. So I think we've got it fixed. You might be a little delayed from where I am. So, okay. All clear. No, it's fine. Okay, there we go. Okay, clean that up. So, by the way, so part of the technical, and I wish I could do a good job of showing you the home studio. Part of the technical portion on that there is trying to make it to where Gabe can hear me back at the studio when I'm live. Because if we're going to use this kind of remote from time to time, sometimes I'll be here, sometimes they'll be there, or vice versa on different people. And so we've had some issues with Gabe being able to hear me back there, as well as me it being clean audio for you. And I had basically my audio double routed, so it was looped in there. So that's where that echo came from. So apologize for that. I hope it wasn't like that the whole show. But if it was, sorry about that. We've got it figured out now. So looking at Futurecast, this is 7 p.m. this evening. Before we go to that, I said we are going to look at radar just a little closer. I just want to go back to that here for a moment. And hopefully we didn't didn't use up too much for y'all. But we do have this severe thunderstorm warning down here south of Kosciuszko that's been issued closer to Carthage. We'll get an angle on this here to see exactly the direction this one is going as it kind of lifts toward the northeast there, because I do think that this one could hold together. I do expect down here toward Louisville. And one of the interesting things on the way this could play out is we do have this boundary there, and it's not impossible as that hits that boundary that it could flare up a little bit more. So again, tracking that toward Louisville, let's double check the speed on that storm. So I show that it is going over the last, really, let's double check it, hour here. Yeah, we'll say about 25 miles over the last hour. Let's clear that off. Let's get you a storm track at about 25 miles per hour to give you kind of an idea on how far this will work. And give me a moment while I extend that so that it goes closer, let's say this 60-mile track. So I'll go probably too far there, but if that can hold together and if it were to make it to Louisville and if it stayed about 25 miles per hour, we'd be looking at Noxapater about 717, Louisville about 730 or so, obviously Midway, Coosa, Marydale there, all within about the next 15 minutes or so, Plattsburgh 759, eventually that holds together. Mashoulaville we show about 8 o'clock or so, Lynn Creek at 8:14. It could pick up a little bit of speed, and that does represent, as I kind of pause it here for a second, a severe thunderstorm warning again down there for locations around Carthage, Leake County until 7 p.m. I think hail the main impact with that. We haven't had a lot of these warnings around. This is not an area we're going to fully typically cover down toward location south of Kosciuszko yet. I think in the future, after everything's worked out, assuming we get to appropriate staffing levels, that is something we might do. That's not in the short term here, but certainly watching things as best as we can. Let's go ahead and kind of look at this though and check those severe threats on it. Again, not showing a lot of hail potential there. Let's look at the winds. We're gonna have to look at this a couple different ways. I'm looking from Monroe County with this here. Let's look from the Jackson radar just to double check those straight line winds. And on there, we do show some spots where we have some of those reds, 20, 30 miles per hour. I'm gonna run it back here a few scans just to double check. There are a few spots there where we do have it kind of 40 mile per hour or so there. So I think it's possible perhaps that it has gotten all the way to severe limits, and certainly that's in that preparation that perhaps it does, that they have gone ahead and issued this severe thunderstorm warning for those locations around Carthage. So continue to watch for those folks there. Sliding northward here, a few other showers we're looking like this one around French Camp. And as Leo came a second ago and said, glitch on a sheet of paper. We'll work our way through that here. One of the hard parts about being live all the time, when we weren't live all the time, there was a lot of tweaking and stuff that we could end up doing behind the scenes that unfortunately is just in front of camera now. So we'll get through all that eventually. So let's go ahead and do a track on this one here. We're going to keep all these, expect that these are going about 25 miles per hour or so. So assuming that there, we're looking at that Chester about 639, Williams at 651, and Reform about 657, assuming it continues going about that speed. As we click back out here toward Carmack, hold on, I need to click this off because I think that this is trying to, I'm going to get rid of that. There we go. That should stop popping up now. Okay, so again, learning all these things that will eventually be cleaned up as we get into severe weather season. This is to a certain extent, when we have storms like this, we learn what to and not to do, even from our point of view, because even for us, it's something we're still doing. So Poplar Creek about 654 there, Poplar Springs 647, and 657 there closer to Huntsville, Mississippi. Of course, that on the Mississippi side here. Clear this off and let's pan this out a little wider. A few other thunderstorms we're looking at back there closer to Greenville. I'm going to check a couple of cameras out here closer to Greenville with that batch there. Hopefully we got a decent shot of this. A North Mississippi Storm Chasers camera, appreciate them and the views that they can provide here. A lot of good color on this for sure. These are non-severe thunderstorms, but popping up, and there, of course, below it, some of that rainfall. 91, the temperature, I'm sure they're ready to knock that, you're ready to knock that, that heat index down a little bit. Up around 100 is rather high, that's for sure. I'm going to check out a camera here we don't show very often. This is pretty close to that severe thunderstorm down there, as you can see near Edinburgh there. I'll move to this side so you can see the location. So that severe thunderstorm back to the west of it. We're looking kind of west, sort of southwest. Let's see if we can change that camera angle a moment here to get a better shot. I know this one sometimes we do struggle a little bit on. So give me a moment to try to swing this southward. Got to find it in the list here. And I'm make sure I got the right camera routed through there. I'm struggling. Actually, I think I'm showing the wrong camera there in the background. Put that on my list. Got to change that camera. Because what I think that is, I think that's actually Macon coming through there. Give me a moment to double check that. Because I'll bet if I go to Macon, that's the same camera. The part of the way I'd put this together, I'd take a copy, the graphic, and that's exactly right. Because that makes a lot more sense. I guess you can't see my pen because it's green. There's that storm. That's probably the same storm. Actually, that's your severe storm right there, kind of working its way generally Macon bound, but looking more in the direction of Louisville within the next little bit, more in line with that. So appreciate your patience as we kind of work our way through some of these things. Okay, that's a lot of tracking and stuff as we're watching those storms. We'll revisit that at the end here, but let's get over to where we were in our typical show broadcast. I apologize, we're a little slow getting all the way through some of these things. So generally speaking, we do have this boundary that's kind of helping to trigger a few of these isolated showers. But overall, these troughs, that's what this brown line represents. I typically don't show these. I'm going to debate whether or not I'm going to end up having these on our graphics all the time. But from time to time, we're going to have some of those on there. But it's just kind of a sign of a little bit of extra lift. But that starts to shift away, and our storms remain pretty spotty overnight. But note how we do have a couple of these up here near the Tennessee state line. Projections have been pretty consistent in trying to depict a few of those. They also kind of weaken some of them down in the southern part of the area fairly quickly this evening, but still by tomorrow morning, cloudy, but mainly dry. As we progress through your Sunday, we'll start off with temperatures that are going to be down in the lower 70s, about 72 degrees in Eupora and Louisville, 73 Starkville, looking at about 72 for Tupelo, and about 72 degrees in Houston to begin the day on your Sunday. Notice as we go on your forecast for low temperatures forward, we're going to be stair-stepping those up there into the mid-70s by the middle of next week. That is definitely because the steaminess factor that is going to affect afternoons certainly has some issues related to the mornings as well. So we're definitely going to be a lot more humid into next week as we progress through. So here's Futurecast. Dry to begin your Sunday morning, dry through probably mid-morning. By midday, we do start to see a couple of storms trying to pop up back out into Arkansas and get closer to the Mississippi-Arkansas state line, closer to Clarksdale and out there toward Helena, West Helena, and back up, getting closer to Olive Branch into the afternoon. We will still have some spotty storms popping up, but again, more often than not, these are going to be much more limited than they were much of last week. You could argue a similar coverage to what we had for today in that 20 to 30% sort of range. And then again, a few of those greatest likelihood, Hamilton back toward around the Golden Triangle and Eupora by around 6 p.m. High temperatures, we're 94 for that high in Tupelo and Amory, 93 degrees in Starkville, coming in 92 Louisville, 93 Kosciuszko, about 94 for Grenada. You factor in the moisture and it's going to feel hotter than that, obviously, up to 102 for that heat index. This is 3 p.m., just kind of picking that number out in some spots. A little earlier, a little later, it will be somewhat higher, about 98 Oxford, as well as in Louisville at that time, a sign that maybe there's a little rain cool there somewhat close to you, and keeping those storms fairly spotty as we go into your Sunday evening with, again, better chances back to the west. I'm going to wind things out here on our Futurecast model. Again, as we kind of alluded to a couple times here, a low pressure back out to the north and west. See how that's retreating? You have little spins here, kind of that shear axis that's brought us to more significant rainfall. That's back, not necessarily aligned with us as much as high pressure is building in. And so as we go into your Monday, as you'll note, even though I show the big H down there in the Gulf of Mexico, aloft there's a large ridge here that's kind of building westward, and that's working to try to keep us drier. You can even kind of see that to a certain extent here with just the clouds. If you watch this batch out here toward Clanton and Montgomery, Alabama, see how you kind of have that clockwise spin? That's a sign of the overall overall high pressure sort of pattern that we're kind of sort of in with this. So by your Monday at midday, a few isolated pop-up storms starting to show up there. And again, our strike model has had a tendency to be a little bit more aggressive than others as far as rainfall is concerned, but does show some very, very spotty, typically small, but spotty thunderstorms trying to pop up on your Monday as we go into afternoon and into possibly early evening there. So this is clearly a little higher than I'm going to show you on the percentages here in a minute, because this one I think is a little bit aggressive in comparison to almost any other projection that I can show you there. But this does have a few extending into the evening there, closer to the Mississippi-Alabama state line by 9 p.m. Monday, mainly out of here as we head into the overnight time period there. So kind of change our shot back here and look at high temperatures Monday. The big story there is obviously we're going to be hot to hotter. 94 degrees in Tupelo, 95 in Amory. We're 94 Starkville, Columbus, and Macon coming about 94 degrees as well. That heat index pushing up in excess of 100 for all locations once again into the afternoon, with the greatest probably levels back Clarksdale up toward around Tunica. And certainly the heat index is really up there. Anytime we're above 105, we're kind of at that threat to possibly have those heat advisories issued. Certainly most likely time period for that probably as we head Tuesday, maybe Wednesday and Thursday of next week. So as we look at that 7-day forecast there, we're going 30% of that rain coverage Sunday and Monday. But as you saw looking at our strike model a moment ago, well, we'll see if that keeps up. That's certainly a greater than 30% coverage there. So I'm kind of maybe undershooting that just a little bit, but other projections are not quite as aggressive. We show it fairly dry by Tuesday of next week. We're looking at keeping it fairly dry probably Wednesday with, I mean, again, yes, there's still spotty storm chances. They're just more missed than hit. But look at those temperatures, mid-90s, feeling like 105 to in some cases 110 degrees. So I think that's back to heat advisory levels. And that is assuming that overall ridge kind of shifts. There we go. I find that if I go in here and I kind of click refresh on this, from time to time, when it does that weird thing, I have to click refresh. So apologize for that. We're going to get that cleared up. We're going to get that fixed here pretty soon. So I'll work on that a little bit more behind the scenes tonight. And if we can't get it figured out, we'll go down to the regular studio tonight for the 10 o'clock. Again, all kind of work in progress. We want to do what's best by y'all. You'll note that they have gone ahead and canceled out that severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect for Carthage there. Locations down around Leake County. Let's bring it back here the latest scan. Lightning is down on that over the last little bit. I still think this is going to continue heading northward, and it will probably continue to see flare up of thunderstorms related to this for a little while. I'll track that whole batch there again. 27 miles per hour could be one of those. Is it locked up glitch?
No, it just goes to gray.
I get that, but is it presently gray?
It's just getting worse as you longer you go.
Okay. Well, there we go. So there's your track. I'm going to try one thing here for a moment. Yeah, I know what it looks like. Let me try one thing here. So give it 2 seconds. I'm going to glitch hard, and then I'll be back good. So give me just a second. I'm going to check what I'm sending back to the station, my stats there, which shows it's perfectly fine out of here. So it's back at the station's receiving end for one reason. Again, this is all a work in progress. Sending at 60 frames a second. And it freezes, we don't miss anything. It picks back up where we left off. Oh, okay. So it freezes and then delays. That's interesting. Because I see it freezing on my end here. Once it eventually gets there. It's back on the way we're picking it up at the station. Well, you know what? This is all part of the fun of learning this, right? And as we get this all figured out, we're going to get it good and cleaned up for you. So Hopefully we'll have that figured out here pretty soon. Yeah, got to get the bugs out. And this is, by the way, the reason why we designed this not at my house. There are ways to do this to where everything is at my house and it'll probably be a lot smoother. But we designed it intentionally with a studio, with a different location, so that we had all the redundancy and the stuff we needed to make that work. That's annoying. Hold on. So if you'll stick with me for just a second here, I'm gonna change a setting here, and I'm gonna see if that changes it. Preset, tuning high, multipass. Okay. Okay, let me check and see if that's working. Okay, we'll try that one next time. We'll see if that works. Anyway, we'll figure this out, promise. So, y'all have a good night. And we will, of course, keep watching all these storms. If something gets to the point where it is significant enough, we might do some additional coverage. But I will say that most of these storms, we typically, as I think we've said a few times before, our coverage threshold is going to be significant severe in that we're talking about the likelihood of significant damage occurred. We will be on for those situations during severe weather. Ultimately, during tornado warnings, always those, but life-threatening weather is when we'll do our extended coverage. We may from time to time more effectively be able to get on quickly, say something about severe weather and get off. We just probably won't typically stay on nonstop in that situation there. Did I mow the fiber line earlier? Mitchell wants to know. I hope not. It did mow. It didn't get tangled up, but that would have been a good reason to have messed up the belt as badly as we had there. So we appreciate everybody here. What time are we at? We're at 6:30. Probably ought to shut this on down here. I'll give you a couple other looks here. We'll look at this Winona camera. Look at the storm around Vaden. I'll get you a storm track on that here briefly. Again, tracking that. I'm going to guess that's probably going out here about 25. Let's look at that loop, because one of the things I do notice, I have an outflow coming off of that as well, right there. This will probably continue to develop isolated storms. Lexington out here, even when it's out around Chula, some additional thunderstorms probably developing on that. That would be the batch, if it were to make it up there toward Winona, that could eventually try to do that there. So pop that up here. And so that's out of our Winona camera, North Mississippi Storm Chasers. That one looks a little better in person than it did on radar. That's a pretty sharp tower there coming up. We're looking, I don't know if that one has a direction directly on that there. I'm going to assume just based on the shading of the clouds, we have a south sort of look there, because we should have the sun hitting that tower from the west. So anyway, we'll worry about that later, but thank you all so much. Looks like the RTSP gray smear screen. If you're sending back via RTSP, not RTMP. It should be RTMP that I'm sending back as, for the nerdy folks behind the scenes. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, appreciate y'all, and y'all have a good night. And I'll double check my settings here, and we'll see if we have it figured out by 10.
When people are fed, futures are nourished. They can connect with the world around them, unlock endless possibilities, and thrive. Join the movement to end hunger. Volunteer. Advocate. Donate. Go to feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.